Benny, there's a lot of things that are very ugly in this industry that I just choose not to cover because I don't want to give air to it. And with that, I have decided to step far enough away from my friend Charlie Kirk's on-camera murder in order to let the trial play out. Now, I've said very publicly that I'm not satisfied with the amount of evidence that has been produced. I would really like to see a step-by-step timeline, all available footage. I'd like to see some of the evidence that supposedly has gone missing. These are all things that have been confirmed in reports. And I'd like to see the preponderance of physical evidence out for this trial. And I hate the fact that we're going to have to wait another 8 months for this trial to get going. And I'm enraged that the judge is potentially shutting down the media at the trial, where you're not allowed right now to film Tyler Robinson's face. Tyler Robinson doesn't have to appear in jail clothing. Who knows if he'll even take the stand? Probably not. Where the hell is Lance Twiggs? I've been out. It's not like you trust the plan here. I've been out very vocally demanding answers to these questions. And I'm simply going to continue demanding that. The best that you can do, raising the awareness. The one thing that I won't do is engage in extreme and wild speculation about what happened that day, because I just don't know, right? And I feel like it's a way to muddy the waters, and it's a way to potentially monopolize, monetize, and take advantage of my friend's murder. I mean, it's why I'm not selling shirts or swag or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Say whatever you want about me. I'm not going to sit there and try and monetize this event. It's grotesque. And so I have bowed my head and carried on in what I feel like are responsible lines of questioning, and honest lines of questioning in good faith, and doing my level-headed best not to attack people who are, grieving in their own way, let's just say. Candace Owens is someone who has obviously made quite a stir about the Charlie murder and has come up with quite a few theories on what's gone on there. Now, I want to begin by saying I was not part of Charlie Kirk's travel gang. I was not part of the Charlie Kirk show. My own thing that we're building here. And I don't live in Phoenix, and I travel there very sparingly. And so there was a nucleus there that really understood all of the machinations of the internal Charlie world, right? Because there's the Turning Point world, but then there was the Charlie Kirk show. And they have been the targets of many of these attacks. I'm not going to enumerate all of them, but ladies and gentlemen, when you see what Turning Point has just done, I guess we will have a major airing of grievances quite soon. Candace Owens this week, once again, posted something with tens of millions of views, 13 million, 18,000 reposts, 106,000 likes, saying, "I've received information, final pieces together for me. I can now say with full confidence that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership at Turning Point USA and some of the people who eulogized him on stage. Yes, I'll be naming names and providing evidence for my claims, and I'm making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to this godforsaken organization to request a refund you were all lied to and leadership knew." Well, listen, man, here's what I've said about Candace, is if you're going to make allegations like this, you're just going to have to back it up. It's the same thing that I've said about sort of the French and Israeli assassination teams. I want Candace to be safe. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I'm not saying that these things don't happen, but I'm saying you're just going to have to provide proof, right? The Pentagon here is saying that they have no idea what Candace is talking about. I'm just going to let it lie there, And she says,
does the DOW have any evidence at all of a French military plot to assassinate Candace Owens?
That is an interesting question. Not that I'm aware of.
So, as we have always said, everyone's entitled to their theories. I don't even use the term conspiracy theory because everything is theory until it's just been proven out. with demonstrable evidence, hopefully in a court of law that we can all see. But you're going to have to back it up, right? I mean, if you're making claims, you're going to have to back them up. And Turning Point USA is now throwing down the gauntlet. This guy's name is Blake Neff, speechwriter for Charlie. You know, one of the sort of the architects, kind of the behind the scenes, idea creation and monologuing for the Charlie Kirk Show. Producer, used to work for Tucker, used to work at Fox News. Blake has now thrown down the gauntlet on behalf of the Charlie team, saying it is time for a live debate with Candace Owens. And in the future, we are going to have that debate. Whether Candace likes it or not, we are going to go live, and we're going to repudiate every single one of her claims. And Blake says that Candace is going to get an opportunity to come on live on the program and debate the facts with the actual people that she's accusing of certain things, crimes, betrayals, and so on. Quite a challenge. Here it is.
Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
What are some of the claims that Blake and the Turning Point crew want addressed? Well, he enumerates them actually right here.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died. She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are. Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization down to a single United States dollar. We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because from the start, there has been nothing there.
And why hasn't Charlie's team, well, been speaking up about this? Now, this is something that I can speak directly to. Again, while I am not a member of the Charlie Kirk show, right? I wasn't an employee of the Charlie Kirk show. I was simply somebody who does consultancy work with Turning Point and been a part of the Turning Point family for a long time, worked with Charlie for a long time, but, again, it was not part of the day-to-day. It certainly wasn't part of the campus tour. I can tell you this is absolutely matter of fact correct. Charlie had a policy to not feed the trolls. He had a policy to stay sort of away from the drama and to project positivity into the movement. And that time has now ended, Blake says, when it comes to addressing Candace Owens. So they wanted the dust to settle, and they thought that Candace was just grieving, and now they're saying the gloves are off, and we're done taking these broadsides and staying quiet about it. Here we go.
The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total reckless disregard for the truth, so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show, but for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the talk of my timeline. Turning Point breaks its silence, challenging Candace Owens to a live stream where they'll dismantle every claim that she made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. They accuse Owens of manipulating her followers to gain and insist real victims, Turning Point employees who've suffered through an enormous amount of this ordeal, receiving online harassment. And TPUSA now says the ball is back in Candace Owens' court. A lot of people are cheering Turning Point USA for doing this, saying that it is malicious. And I would just add one little thing here, that this is what you do before a lawsuit. I am not speaking as if I know anything, because I don't. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to sue Candace. I have no idea. I don't know. And I don't know enough to even push for that, right? One way or the other. What I'm saying is that these are the kind of things that you do. You set the record straight in a very public way and give people an opportunity to decamp from their incorrect positions, to retract. This is the way that defamation cases go. And is that what they are preparing for here? Again, this just broke, and so I haven't gotten time to work the phones. I'll be happy to do a bunch of phone calls and find out. And if that's the case, then I'll report back. But that's what it strikes me as, potentially, is potential ground, laying the groundwork for a potential suit against Candace Owens. Candace has insinuated or outright accused Charlie's staff, chief of staff, pastor, executive producer, of being involved in the murder. She has even pointed finger at the Trump administration and Egyptian playing men in maroon shirts, French legionnaires, and others. She's produced zero evidence to support her claims. Everything she cites comes from anonymous hotline tips or misinterpreted viral trends, and so on. I'm not here to litigate all of that. That would make this an hour and a half. That would make this a 5-hour, 5-day, 20-day video. Perhaps we'll do that in the future. I want the truth. I want to be extremely fair-minded. I think that people that are rational and are acting in good faith simply want the truth. I've voiced my frustrations with the way that the Charlie Kirk investigation has gone on. I've voiced my extreme concerns that they've potentially undercharged or not gone after the actual groups responsible. Some of these splinter Antifa organizations, tranny and furry organizations, so on. I think that some of these groups are extremely radicalized. Do some of them have foreign funding? I don't know. These are some important questions that I want answered, and that can only be answered in a court of law, that can be answered with the production of all available evidence, a true investigation, a true case presented to the American people. And I am painfully worried that the judge in this case will not allow the American people to watch and to see. And that is something that I'm striking out against. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in efforting full transparency here on this issue so that everything can be put to rest. That's why I'm totally in favor of this. I hope that Candace takes up Turning Point and joins the live stream. I hope that people can see it. I hope that Tucker and Ben Shapiro debate. I hope that Mark Levin and Tucker Carlson, debate with Nick Fuentes. Go for it. That's how you release the pressure. In fact, that's how people go and seeing people debate and operate in good faith. Is that even possible? I don't know, but that's how the pressure release valve goes down. And that's actually how you stop people from just deciding I'm going to get a gun and go kill everyone. I'm going to kill the people I disagree with. That's what happened to Charlie. That is the actual enemy. Debate, even with people that you think are ugly or have ugly opinions or use naughty words, that's not bad. That's good, in fact. The best ideas rise to the top. The people with the evidence, the people that can back up their arguments, they win in the end. And that's the way a society goes. So I'm in favor of all of it. I'm in favor of more transparency. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.